Yes, we are here. Hello, everybody. How
Hey
are you,
Saf,
bro?
how's it going?
Good, good, good. I I had to do here something in the last minute that threw me off a little
Everybody's
bit.
everybody's lying. You call somebody like, "Oh, how you doing?" They're like, "Oh, fine." You're like, "No, you're not."
Yeah, huh? It's like yeah, say what you there's a funny Larry David bit where he goes like I hate to stop and chat. Like when you meet someone on the street and you go and you have to
I
like
hate the
you
stop and chat.
stop and chat, like where you have
Yeah.
to just meet someone on the street you don't really know that you kind
Oh,
of like
hey,
and
how's
it's
it
like, oh
going?
yeah, how's it going? You're good, I'm good, you're good, I'm good, you're good too. Okay, okay, let's go. So it's like that's off the table now with COVID, pretty much. Don't have that problem anymore.
But I speak to
Uh,
clients or I speak to people on the
yeah.
phone. It's like, "How's it going?" I was like, "Yeah, it's all right, good." And so anyway, like, "No, I can tell you're lying." Like, actually, yeah, it's true. My wife just got COVID, and
Mm,
business is down, and the kids are driving themselves crazy, bouncing off the walls, and yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
the stuff it continues. It continues. Here we are.
yes,
The world
yes, here
continues
we
to
are.
move forward.
We have friends joining us from a bunch of places already. Welcome to the Great Transition, everybody. Great to see friends connecting from Cairo and from Florida and from Toronto and
Okay, try and say
California.
that. Try and say the city in
Uh,
Switzerland. Can you do
and
that one?
Well, I see
See,
Switzerland. Where's the city in Switzerland? I can't see
I
that.
see on
I
the
see
Great Trans.
Ohio also. I see Quebec here, Finland, Utah, Minnesota is here in the house, Spain. Where do you see a place in Switzerland? Did you see that?
I see Siegfried Hasselhort
Okay,
is
okay, I
from
got it. I got it. I see what you're saying.
Schwalbenalb.
It's Schwalbenalp. Schwalbenalp. Siegfried,
Nice.
how are you, man? Good to see you guys. Good to see you, everybody. Welcome to the Great Transition. If you are here for the first time, we should have said this earlier. Sorry for the little small talk. We tend to start with a little small talk, Seth and I. We're happy to hear each other, see each other. But we want to say hello to everyone who might be new here. If you are, welcome to the Great Transition. In here, we try to be honest and to tell you what's going on in the world from the deepest and broader perspective possible. Not look at what's going on in the world and look at current affairs and look what's at the details, but not sink and dive into the details and just stay there, but rather zoom out, elevate ourselves, see where we are going as a global human society. Where is nature pushing us? We're all bound by the laws of nature. That's what we're exploring here. And if you feel like the world is changing in a big way, we are here to tell you this is exactly what's happening. We are in the midst of the great transition, and that's what we're doing here. We're exploring the great transition of the 21st century. Seth, we have a guest that will be with us in a few seconds here. Do you want us should we just get him on, or you want to say something before that? What do you want to do?
Well,
What do you want to do?
I got so much to say, but yeah, let's bring Ronen on. Um, th- there's something that,
There
hey
we
brother,
go. There we
hey,
go. That was fast. Welcome, our dear brother, Ronan Avigdor, everybody. This is our dear, dear friend who is an expert in the financial world and also a veteran Kabbalah student. And he will help us today figure out some things that are happening in the financial reality, right? What's up, brother? How are you? You're muted. We need to hear you as well. Still
I
muted.
said I said
There we
pretty
go.
interesting stuff.
Yes. Okay,
yes.
we
Yeah.
hear you well.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So what? Yeah, it seems like for better or for worse, at first it looks like there's been some suit. Chris, if you can put up the GameStop stock ticker, it looks like some interesting. I don't know if it's a phenomenon, but something interesting happened. That is a pretty show. That's AMC, the movie theaters. And how about GameStop also? And there's GameStop. So something happened in the last 2 days that made these stocks go through the roof. I guess a lot of people are either going back to the movie theaters or buying a lot of video games. Is that what's happening?
Hardly. again, it's like the tail is playing with the dog instead of the dog just waving the tail. It always comes back to money and financials and stock exchanges and speculative investments. That's like the strong driving force behind many events. Especially if you don't understand them, just look no further than the stock exchange and money and greed. That's probably what we are seeing, but it's a very interesting and unique phenomenon, and it needs to be discussed for sure.
So
Okay,
before we get
wait, guys.
into
Before you guys
yeah.
delve into your financial worlds here, I'll represent the layperson. Okay, what did you just showed us there, Seth? What is going on here? This is a stock. This is a stock of
Okay,
a game company, a video game
yeah,
company.
so in every shopping mall in the United States, or almost every
Okay.
shopping mall, although I haven't been in all of them, but for sure all of the ones that I've ever been into on the East Coast, and all the strip malls, there's a place called GameStop. And you can bring your, I guess before everything was online, it was very popular because all the games were on a disc. So if you played your, killing game for 6 months and you got bored, you could bring it in and trade it in for a driving game, or they sell the controllers, they sell the headsets, they
Right.
sell the game systems, they sell the games. It's just a normal tons and tons of kids game, except most things now you can get online. You don't have to go and buy a CD. So somehow, oh no, not so somehow. So what it turns out was that there are certain products, they're called, on Wall Street, which allow you to bet against a company. So if you think a company is not going to do well, like movie theaters, for example, are closed. So you can, it's called shorting the stock, and Ronan will tell us all about it. I'm just giving you the mostly layperson version. So what happened was there was some hedge fund worth a couple $2 billion that, okay, there you go, GameStop. So there was some Wall Street fund that was betting that this company was going to fail.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, betting. So they were betting in the stock market.
If
basically,
the company failed,
then
they would make money. There's certain tools on Wall Street where you can do that. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So now some
what a gambling machine this whole Wall
right,
Street
but it's all
is.
it's all legal.
Of course it
these
is.
are legal. So turns out that a group of non-investors, although we should probably say it's possible that there was some kind of something behind it, but who knows? What it appears is that there was some non-investing people on Reddit who, on some message board, and they weren't happy, didn't like, or wanted to play like that generation does with all their memes and just everything's kind of turning it into a joke or something. They said, let's drive the price of this stock up, and they just started buying the stock. And if you short, and Ronan, you could explain maybe a little bit more about it, but if you short a stock, meaning you're betting that it's going to go down and the price actually goes up, your losses become exponential. So this hedge fund that was worth a couple billions of dollars lost a few billions of dollars in value because of a group of people, normal people, on a message board that decided to buy the stock. Now there's we can go in 50 directions from here, but I think that's the most simply like what's going on right now, Ronan, right? That's the story.
Basically, we're seeing a zero-sum game. Okay, guys, it's a zero-sum game, and it's a very cruel, very zero-sum game. It means actually that if a little guy earns $1, then another player, and this time it's the hedge fund manager or owner, loses this dollar. It's one on the expense of the other, 100%, one on the expense of the other. There's only winners and losers. You can't win together, you can't lose together in this game. This is a very cruel game. Usually, the setup of the forces is that you have the little guy against the Wall Street elites. You have the individual investors against the hedge fund managers. And guess who wins like 99.99% of the time? Who wins, guys?
Wall Street,
the big guys. Yeah.
Of course, the financial machine itself is considered to be one of the largest instruments of conveying wealth from the common people to small elite individuals that run the systems. That's like its basic role of just transferring wealth from us, from the little guy, to the elites and so forth. And what's so unique about this GameStop company and AMC and others is that this time it's the other way around. And it
Explain.
hurts. Guess to whom? What?
So you're saying it's the other way around again for the
Totally.
laypersons because a lot of people in the public, so to speak, I understand they got organized on Reddit, something like that. They use
Yeah.
social media to get organized and together collectively buy a lot of those GameStop stocks to drive it up, right? So the betting that the hedge fund manager was doing in order to win, now he lost basically, right? Is it a true loss? Did he
Listen,
actually lose money, a lot of money? What are we talking
yeah.
about here?
He just lost like $2.5 billion in 3 days, and that's not the end of it
Oh,
yet. So,
Not
but
bad.
let me explain to you guys something which I want to
okay,
emphasize. When you deal with this kind of financial plays, like adventures, it's
right.
a little bit like Bitcoin. The Bitcoin itself is both a financial instrument, a speculative financial instrument, and also behind it, there's a complete concept of a financial and a revolution of really a drastic change in the financial system as a whole. So indeed, in those two cases, both Bitcoin and the GameStop war, you can analyze it as a financial phenomenon, which is okay to analyze, and you can go deeper and say what are the forces, what are the motives, and what does it reflect on us and on the system itself.
Okay. The why is this so game changing here? Why is this such why is this unprecedented? Why did this never happen before? Again, talk to me as a person who doesn't understand the stock market, in detail. I generally
It's
understand that people who have a lot of money, they buy stocks, and they play these games, they basically gamble in the stock markets, and they make more money from what they already have. So in this case, I understand that a group of people, just normal people who are not big investors, they decided to collectively buy the stocks together, and that went against some betting that some bet from some hedge fund manager. Why wasn't it that done before? I'm asking myself. Why is this so new?
well, these guys, the little guys, they are all on Reddit. It's a forum called Wall Street Bets, and they all,
Mm-hmm.
they meme each other and so forth. These guys were looking for an opportunity, for an opening to do their bid, and they have found it in GameStop and AMC and other companies, which the stocks themselves were heavily shorted. I mean, those Wall Street elites, those hedge fund managers, they profit from the if a certain stock like GameStop is actually downwards and even dramatically downwards in price. Let's remember that GameStop is a company. It has more than 15,000 employees. It's a real business. It's not just like a stock. Behind the stock, there's a company, and those hedge fund managers wanted to drive them to destruction, to bankruptcy, basically. So now the little guys suddenly understand, they become aware of their collective power, and they were looking for an opening, for an opportunity, and the opportunity
Okay.
presented itself as GameStop,
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
they
So
totally changed the balance of power.
So
First
is there
time.
is
Yeah.
there a
okay.
is there a what we're interested in looking for are patterns in nature. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about all the time here. I once had a conversation with somebody. I was trying to explain something to them, and I said, imagine if you are in a symphony and you're sitting there in the symphony and the music is so beautiful you start crying. And imagine you have a cat sitting on your lap and the cat is oblivious to what's going on. And the person said to me, how do you know a cat doesn't feel what you feel? How do you know that a cat doesn't have the same? And so then I realized I can't have a conversation with this person about what I wanted to speak, because we have to share the same if we don't even share the same fundamental rules here, then we can't have a conversation. So the fundamental things that we want to talk about now, that the kind of the shared understanding that we all want to have, is that there's a shift happening in humanity. There's something happening where the people are there's something happening. Everything used to be really top down, even like a monarchy. You know, there would be like one kind of elite at the top, and at a certain point, the people would, you know, maybe overthrow him, and then another top, you know, another person would come to the top, and then they would overthrow him, and another person would come to the top. But there's some kind of transition that's happening now, and before it happens, it's almost as if the balloon, like a bubble that's going to pop, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But fundamentally, we want to point out, what is the law of nature that we're seeing here? Like, what is the development in humanity that's happening here? Because these things are happening now regularly. Like what we saw in the United States with this, you know, it's like these things maybe happened every 10 years before, or every 100 years. And it seems like, I mean, how many bankruptcies in Wall Street are there going to be this week, from just this, from this kind of thing? We can layer on top of it the fact that now, you know, the governments will make rules to protect the hedge fund investors, and the government will clearly not protect the average person.
Even investigate. Even
Yeah.
investigate them.
Yeah, even investigate them. Yeah, so that's a whole other thing. But what if we can first just point out, like that cat and the person in that example there, what, like, forget about the cat. Let's talk, we're going to agree on certain fundamental rules in humanity. So what do we see when you zoom out, with your perspective on life? What do you see here as something that is a theme, is a pattern of nature?
Well, first of all, we see it's all related to the opportunity that the COVID-19 virus has given everybody to readjust and to revalue their former way of living, because it didn't happen before, because those guys, those individuals, small private investors, were busy living their life, working, making ends meet, and so forth. They were not open, even they were not aware of their collective strengths. And now those guys are on Robinhood and other platforms, and they are working together. They are finding joy in cooperating, especially when you have a common enemy. And this is to your question. I think one of the things we need to pay attention to. There's like an instinct in each and every one of us. We are looking for rivalries. We're looking for wars. We're looking to overcome something. We're looking to win. We all want to win. We all want to make some money on the expense on the other. That's why I said I emphasize the zero-sum game. This is something which is intrinsic in our nature. This desire to win, to overcome someone else, to win on behalf of someone else, on expense, of someone else. So this is like the first law. And I think that we can't really identify anyone who is, this is a good guy and this is a bad guy. Within ourselves, we all share the same quality exactly. Therefore, if I was born in one of the elites, so I'm a hedge fund manager, and if I wasn't so lucky, I was just born, somewhere, and I'm like a regular family, blue collar family, so I'm the other guy from Reddit. But basically, if we switch changes, we wouldn't change anything, because this is our nature.
So you're saying you're saying that in this zero sum game, I'm just reiterating what you said just to make it clear to myself. So basically, we're saying in this zero sum game, you may start as a shark and you may start as a little fish, but play the game enough and the fish becomes the shark. And so the game is rigged in such a way, built in such a way, that you cannot have everybody developing without developing at the account of the other, without one becoming a winner, the other becoming a loser. And so if we take those the Reddit folks, let's say, right, let them play in this game long enough, and they become the sharks that they fought against, basically.
They even aspire to be the sharks from the start. They aspire to be the sharks because they want exactly what the sharks are wanting. Just circumstances and luck and faith, may make this one here and the other one there. But basically, we're all the same.
I do get it as a, it's a very understandably, rational point of view, and it's like that's the logic. This is like social logics of social psychology and game design and economics 101 is behavioral economics. Everything is working very clearly here. Yet it's kind of, there's something kind of depressing about it, because you kind of, when I hear this story, and again, thinking about it as a simple, not as a financial expert, what I hear is like, oh, the little guys are finally winning. It sounds great. Finally there's like the little guys are beating the big guys in their own game. That's kind of how it feels like. It's kind of makes you feel a little bit nice inside. No, I don't know.
Listen, basically, it's true. I mean, when you look at revolutions throughout history, okay, and this is also a revolution without the violence, maybe, but it's actually a revolution. If you look at revolutions before throughout history, it took a while and even centuries before the common people developed a mutual conscience. Like saying, listen, we are in the same spot, in the same situation, and we have the ability to change something only if we unite around an idea and act together. Okay, this is even Karl Marx. Sorry for mentioning the forbidden name here. Yeah, even Karl Marx talked about it in his Capital book, The Capital, that it will take a while until the working class will understand the situation, that he has the power, he has the mutual interest to act. Yes, this is very interesting.
Yes.
Here's the wonderful thing, that what we're going through right now through COVID, and now what'll happen in 2021, is the recognition, like we talked about that story about the guy watching the symphony and the cat, like the recognition of what are the laws that we need to agree on. What is actually happening here. So we have all kind of stories, like from it's just such a good case study from World War II, where they took ordinary, regular working class people and made them to have to go and ship off people to the camps in Poland or whatever. And these regular, ordinary family people, within a few months, were dragging naked pregnant women outside and shooting them in the back of the head. It's like what you're saying. You take a normal guy on Reddit, and then he becomes the Wall Street Baron for a minute. And so the psychology, understanding basically who we are at first, and understanding what psychological things are operating in us, is kind of the framework. And this example here is really just if we, on this show specifically, we're not interested in, like when we talked about politics, who's right, who's wrong. We're interested in stripping off the costumes and understanding what are the forces that are happening inside. So we can see clearly now, it's very obvious here, and through all these things, that how malleable, that there's these forces that are operating inside of us. If we understand how to direct them, we can maybe do something with it. First, we needed to agree, because first certain people were, thought the cat was equal, or thought the cat was like this, and the person watching the symphony was like this. But now if we start to become clear through more and more situations, like this GameStop situation, and more things that'll happen where we'll start to reveal the true human nature. It's not that those are the bad guys and we're the good guys, right? Whenever we read all of the history books, we always kind of identify as the good guy. Well, we should also be reading those history books and identifying ourselves as the bad guy, because if we were born in the other neighborhood, we would have been just like them. and once we understand so I think that the real story in something like this is this, what you're talking about is the exposure of what are these building blocks, what is this human nature that we're dealing with that is now being exposed to us, that has been kind of
It's been
not suppressed, but
subdued, or
yeah.
yeah. I see another interesting thing here. I mean, Ronan mentioned, sorry for bringing up Karl Marx again, but what was interesting? One of the interesting things in Karl Marx's theory was that people will develop some sort of a, he didn't say these words, but collective consciousness. He was essentially talking about the working class developing some sort of a shared understanding about their status, about their situation and conditions, and a recognition that they can collectively do something together. Now, we're not Marxists, and of course, this is not where we're going with this, but that was something that was very appealing to people who are interested in Karl Marx's idea. What we need today, I would say, is the broadest kind of collective awakening, collective awareness. We need to recognize that what we're talking about right now, that whether you're on the winning side right now or on the losing side right now, we're all interdependent in this game, because right now, even our system with this GameStop story, even our system is showing us that you can start here and end there. You don't necessarily, you can't, you not everyone cannot win, necessarily can't win together in this game, because we're in a zero-sum game. We're all interdependent, and once we become collectively aware of that, once we recognize, oh, my well-being depends on the other person's well-being, and I could be in the other person's shoes, if I play that game long enough or given a different set of conditions. So we got to take care of everyone's conditions. You know what I mean? There's a collective awakening of interdependence that's missing here. That's kind of like the big trigger for an actual change.
So we all have been playing a zero-sum game to some extent in our lives in each and every area for many, many years, for decades. And now comes the new integral global world, which we are all interdependent. And we don't know the new game, what game to play. We only know one game, which is a zero-sum game. And you can see it in the stock exchange, you can see it in the economy, you can see it in all areas of life. Sometimes it's more obvious, sometimes it's just in the background, but basically that's the way things are happening and has been happening for many, many decades. And I'm not sure that we are aware of the new laws, of the new circumstances, which actually will determine basically if we can adjust to the new laws or just keep on banging each other head and lose together eventually. Because if you keep on playing a zero-sum game in a world that has changed, then it's actually a suicide mission.
Right. That's a very good formula. I like that. The world's becoming increasingly interdependent. The game we're playing is still a zero-sum game. At some point, they're colliding, and that's what we're seeing today. And the GameStop, story is kind of the beginnings of this discovery, isn't it?
Basically, listen, I'm not sure that I think we are a little bit ahead of circumstances and the common person understanding of what's really happening right now. For the common spectator, it's like an interesting game. Eventually small guys are screwing, sorry for the language, pardon the language, the big guys and the wealthy guys and the Wall Street elites. That's I enjoy the game.
Yeah,
finally,
and it's kind of fun to watch. I that's what I said. I get it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And that's why it get the media attention and so forth. But we really have to look deeper and understand that this is, it reflects a change. Now, regarding this change, I would like to ask a question because I've heard you guys speak before of the millennials and the Gen Z and how different they are than the previous generations as
And
far as,
old people like us.
yeah. You're not a baby boomer yet, are you? You're
No, I'm
not.
not a boomer.
No.
My
Yeah.
parents are boomers.
Okay. So count you. I'm counting. I'm counting you in. So I've heard you speak before that those millennials and Gen Z are so different. But this time, I watched the. I see what's happening with GameStop, and I went into the Reddit and to the Wall Street Bets forum, and I see millennials. Those guys, the ones that are driving the events right now, are the same guys that you said previously that they are not interested in money, they are not interested in wealth, they have some deeper understanding of the situation. So can you please explain to me what's really happening here?
Well, we
I think Asaf and we probably both have a different angle on it, but go ahead.
get you first.
Um, okay, so I saw Mary Spies before said something like there was altruists in Germany that hid people under the floorboards and stuff like that. So in general, yes, okay, fine, there's a small amount, but humanity is judged by the majority. Right, that's how it keep, there's always just this scale and we just keep tilting towards the bad, and that's how we just keep going around. So I think there's kind of two things happening here. To say that the kids aren't interested in money and all that, I'm not sure this is really about money so much. First of all, I mean, Asaf, you probably have a really nice insight on this, but also this is well, I'll pass to you. I just want to say I think that there's this is not the entire generation is out there betting on stocks. I think it's a small group, and I think there's always unique small groups. I don't think the entire generation is out there, playing against hedge funds on the stock market. Stuff. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I would. I kind of I agree with that, but I mean, I don't think that the numbers of people show that that all of them are GameStop players. I also got to say that I don't see in this story something that represents a desire for wealth and money and becoming what I see here is it's almost like these younger people are kind of saying, I don't want to use bad words, but they're basically cursing, the system, and basically they're expressing some sort of a protest here. That's what I'm seeing. I see this as as this ability to get organized together for a collective kind of goal that people share. There's kind of a camaraderie that I see here forming between these people, because they have to have some shared interest in some shared goal here in order to get organized and do this together. And and each one pitching. I saw someone in the chat saying, wow, I just now I understand why my son asked me for a couple for some money to invest in a stock or something like that. um and someone else said, hey, I just saw this on Reddit. I mean, there is some sort of an excitement, I think, that is being shared now by these people who are like, let's do this thing together. And that's where it's coming from. I don't see here a desire to become, if see, the problem with the old world, it's actually very different. It's diametrically opposed, because the old world was, if I want to get rich, it's me. I want to be the shark that, I need to have a plan. I need to have people that will help me carry it out. But it's me against the world. I will be the rich person. Now it's a lot of people that are in a lateral way. They have power. They don't have power in by being on the top of a pyramid. They have power by organizing laterally and accumulating that power, that little power that each one has, into a greater force. So it's like almost like they want to win together against this big thing. So I think that it expresses something else. The fact that they're a little bit hackers and they know how to deal with the stock markets and go into and manipulate do things around, that kind of just represents how this generation is better with numbers and computers and twisting things around like that, hacking things than previous generations. Anyway, yeah.
I can add my take in this is that you can't really overrule the fact that both boomers and millennials and Gen Z, we are all made of exactly the same material, of the same desires, of the same nature. This is common to all of us. The question is, are we different is each generation different from the other in its ability to comprehend the new situation, the new rules, and to adjust? Okay, because I suppose Seth's parents, like if he says they are boomers, so they are pretty much set in their ways. It's a huge task to change their fundamentals view of the world and humanity and themselves as far as we're concerned. But the Gen Z and the millennials are like in between, like in the story of Egypt. There's like the generation of the desert, the generation of the transition between the old generation, slavery and so forth in Egypt, and the new people of Israel. And this transition of generations is actually what we see here. So yes, millennials want to make money. Yes, they are not in any way not interested in money and making profits and screwing the big guys. It's all fine, but in the same time, they feel and they act as you described, collectively, with a bigger purpose.
Yeah, I think look, we're in a very multi-layered, multifaceted kind of transition that's happening. So it's going to be very superficial and over generalization kind of if we're going to say millennials are like this, boomers like that. Everyone is integrated here. We're in a process where everyone's integrated, but there is a natural process. There's a natural process where it's not for no reason that the children of today, they're born they don't start from zero. They don't have to learn all of human history in order to learn how to use a computer. They don't have to be there when the internet was invented in order to just naturally, intuitively use Instagram and whatever it is. They inherit a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and that goes into their genes, so to speak, biologically and psychologically and culturally, and they're already born with a different set of values into the world, whether they recognize it or not. Humanity is a species that is developing, for thousands of years, and every generation inherits something from the previous generations. I think we understand some of that process and can explain some of it, and some of it we can't, or we can't see exactly how it works, but it does. And so that's why it's interesting to look at the younger generations, because they somewhat represent a more a readiness, a kind of
I think an interesting thing happens with the Bitcoin now, which I think is related to what you're saying.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin started with millennials, with young guys, creating like a digital cryptocurrency, and everybody else, the establishment, was dismissive and offensive and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while, but in the last year, the biggest cryptocurrency company, they're called Grayscale. They are up from 2 billion to 20 billion in a year, and the vast majority of the money is institutional money, is establishment, institutional big players, rich players' money. So in that sense, that millennials spearheaded the change. The millennials spearheaded a new currency, a new system, and everybody were dismissive, and now they are joining.
So,
So
not to say that 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 there's anything redeeming about Wall Street or anything redeeming about the crap of the previous generations. Just they filled the world with crap. However, there's another interesting thing about this: the Bitcoin and the GameStop thing. There's nothing physical tied to it at all. There's no product. There's nothing like in the physical world. It's all just an idea. Right? I mean, do you see any? I mean, even as corrupt as the stock market is and all the thing, there's still some kind of companies there with people and things happening. Bitcoin, it's an idea. And what they did with GameStop also, because these people who bought the stock to make the stock go up, there's no revenue to support that. I guess you could say that's the same thing with Tesla and all those other things, but at least so that stock's going to have to come down at some point. I mean, the GameStop price is going to have to come down at some point.
It's down today, like 36% in a day today.
So there's something interesting also about the new generation. It's that it's not like developing real estate, right? It's not about international trade. It's not about it's not a thing. There's no thing there.
You know what? I think, pardon me, I think the differentiation between Wall Street and Main Street has been around for decades. Okay, if you take, like, it looks like that in the last year or so, since the COVID-19 phenomenon, it's like Wall Street and Main Street, meaning the real economy, real people, real businesses, and the Wall Street, like the financial institutions and industry, have totally parted. It's like the one is not related in any way to the other. That's why we are saying that it's like a K-shape recovery. So this is the downwards, and from then on, there's guys that are making lots of money and businesses, and others are falling to oblivion. So this division between Wall Street and Main Street has been around for many years. But you're right that the Bitcoin situation and the GameStop and AMC and other stocks phenomenon in the last couple of days are actually indicative of something which is slowly becoming more and more virtual, more and more detached from real economy, real phenomenons, and more conscious, and like a common conscious.
Okay, you guys. Look. Here we are. I thought I'll mention it earlier, but I didn't notice the time. We talked about wrapping up this show a little earlier than usual because I actually have a situation. Gotta go. There's a funeral that I have to go through. You have to go to. Relative COVID. Yeah. It's a bad mix, COVID and cancer, but the COVID, you know, finished it. So we got a couple of minutes, and let me ask a really kind of big and broad question. Do we even need, Ronan, I'm asking you, do we even need the entire infrastructure of the financial markets, all the stock markets? I'm not talking about the Main Street. I'm not talking about the real economy, so to speak, right? Do we even need it? Is it needed? Is it necessary in order for people to conduct themselves, and can we have an economy without all of this virtual money gambling situation?
Listen, I think the
What do you
answer
think?
is
Yeah.
very simple here. It's exactly if you ask the same question about nuclear energy and about technology and about financial sophistication, depends on the purpose, depends on the intentions, depends on the role it takes in the humanity's life. For instance, in economy, between the Second World War and Reagan going into power, capitalism worked very good for everybody. Okay, even
Mm-hmm.
though there was some inequality, always have been, but still everybody improved their way of life and their standard of living and so forth. I mean, it wasn't always a clear cut zero sum game. So eventually, Bitcoin and financials. Institutions and strategies and nuclear powers and technology and social networks, everything has a right to exist. Depends how we use it. That's why everything comes back to us, to me. How do I see the situation? How do I use what is given to me by nature? That's my answer, basically.
Okay. So how would you use it? How would you use it? How should we use it? What's your take on it? How would you change the direction of it?
Listen, if we organize ourselves as a society, which puts in the most important thing, camaraderie, social interdependent, helping each other, caring about each other, and so forth, then financial markets have certainly a role in helping companies survive, in helping companies develop, and therefore giving workers an honest wage so they can both develop themselves internally and make and meet in the same time. So I can very easily see a corrected financial system working. It all depends. It all comes back to what our purpose is and what we are willing to do in order to serve the higher purpose.
So it's not these devices. It's essentially it's how we use them. Um, it's the people that use them, and the people need to wake up into a different kind of incentive, a different kind of motivation.
Exactly. That's my take.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
same way that the those regular German citizens were turned into monsters, in the same way, imagine some army comes into your town and they're like, listen, everybody, line up. We're going to be feeding everyone this afternoon. All right. And then I want you to go into every house and make sure everybody's warm and has enough to eat and enough to drink. And if someone needs medicine, I want you to report back to me right away. You know, just it's the same. And then all of a sudden into an army of people who are the software, the operating system inside. It's the same. It does this. It's looking psychologically, emotionally. It's looking for something to follow, for some way to clothe itself into this. Um, we need to provide that because by default, like we see with these guys on Reddit, they just became, from their garages or their basements, they became like Wall Street. They became, what's it called? What was the movie with the Wall Street movie? The
The
recent one.
Wolf of Wall
Yeah, the
Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. They became like mini wolves of Wall Streets. Yeah, yeah.
I want to say
Exactly.
I want to add something here. I am undecided or ambivalent about something. I don't know that all are in this great transition that we're talking about, which is essentially a transition, a transformation of human consciousness. There's no doubt about it. We all, everyone, all of us here see it. I think a lot of the people who are joining us in the chat here are feeling this, seeing this as well. It's a transformation of human consciousness that needs to happen, and that will in turn change all our systems. I agree with that. But for the transition to happen, as part of the transformation of human consciousness, as part of this growth and expansion of our mindset and our feeling of each other and the world and nature, and as part of this change of heart, I don't know that it's possible that some of the games that we're playing as well need to take on a certain kind of shift in order for us to change. And then maybe we can go back and play those games again in a different way. If you look at how children grow, they grow from based on the games that they play. They play a certain game, and then they play it, and then they realize something. Then they understand something about themselves, about the game, about the person they're playing with, and so on. And I do think that just like COVID is now, whether we like it or not, it is putting a stop on a lot of the games that we were playing, and we haven't even discovered what its true effect on the economy. A lot of our economies in the world right now are on some sort of life support, right, Ronan? We don't exactly actually know what is the true effect until we actually will remove the life support. That's my
Have
that's
been
my
ha-
that's
have
my
been on
phone
life
call.
support for the last decade or so, since the 2008
So
crisis. Yep.
so we don't really know what's going on with the economy. Long story short, it's gonna be interesting how this thing is gonna play out. I have a feeling that something's gonna happen. This is just a hunch. It's not based on, just a speculation that maybe this GameStop thing is just the beginning of bigger changes and unprecedented, unexpected events that are going to happen in the financial world too, that are going to lead us to some sort of conclusions. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this economy comes back even close to what it used to be. And let's see how all this thing plays out. Final words, Ronan.
I can just say that, first of all, it's been a privilege being with you and speaking about those important things. I remain hopeful, even though things look like, they are pretty much the same. It's a zero-sum game. There's the bad guys and good guys, but underneath there's a current, a conscious current, which I think will come into life as humanity goes on to living with the COVID-19 and the opportunities it poses for us to change.
Thank you so much for being with us, Ronan. We'll see everybody Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Big hug to everybody who's out there. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Asaf. Everyone's heart, if you didn't see in the chat, everyone's heart is out to you. I know you need to run out the door right now. Everybody is wishing you and your family all the best. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Face after face, race after race, from one cage to another. Mask after mask, task after task, lost in the sands.
Through you there's a cry, through you there's a light, a place to be discovered. Through you there's a way, together we pray to rise.
To see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, and now we rise. And every word an echo from the skies, breaking the walls, hearts unite. Of me, through you I find my flaws. Through there's a key, a place where we can open doors. Together we yearn, the fire it burns, a chance to feel alive. A song from the heart, singing that love will cover our crime. To see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, now we rise, and every